about 1,100 meters underground. There is no natural light here, no wind. The temperature stays just above freezing. At this depth, sound bounces off rock and returns again and again. Every drip you hear is the same echo repeating. Their headlamps hit the boots first, then the harness. Above that, the rope. He is hanging on the rope. Not a body twisted by a fall, more like a climber frozen mid-move. His body is badly decomposed, yet it is still suspended. The cold and sealed air turned decay into a slow chemical process. Later, they confirmed his identity. Sergey Kozeev, 37. He had been here for about 9 months. No teammates, no communication line, no camps behind him. In Veryovkina, being alone is not bravery. It is missing infrastructure. When you look at him, one specific question appears. Not, why did he come? But, when did he lose the ability to turn back? Veryovkina Cave, known depth about 2,212 meters. Inverse Everest is not hype. It is structural reality. You are not going up. You are descending continuously. Each segment makes the way back longer, colder, harder. Many people picture caves as wide underground halls. Most of this cave is not walking. It is squeezing. You have to collapse your chest and press your shoulders to rock to pass fissures only tens of centimeters wide. Your pack will snag. Your rope will catch. In the dark, you hear metal tapping from your gear, click by click, like a timer. In 2018, the Perovo team went back down to the deepest zone. They are a team that works deep caves in the Caucasus year after year. This is not a one-off trip. It is a mission. Descend, build camps, take samples, map, then return. At about 2,100 meters, they established Camp 6. Radio is meaningless here. The rock is too thick. Their only stable link outward is a phone line running through the cave. Thin, fragile, and it has to stay unbroken. That line is not equipment. It is proof you are still connected to life. In the same cave, Sergey had the opposite conditions. No phone line, no camp system, no one to carry gear for him. Every descent cut him more completely from the surface. Do a test right now. Do not stand. Do not adjust your posture. Look at where your shoulders are. Remember that width. Imagine the walls sliding inward until they press against your shoulders. You cannot turn around. You cannot raise your arms in front of your chest. You try to inhale, but your rib cage cannot expand. Every breath becomes shallow. You start counting breaths just to confirm you still control your body. Now imagine the temperature near freezing. The cold is not blown in. It conducts through contact. Your back is against stone, and heat is pulled away continuously. Instinct says, move faster. But speed burns oxygen and makes you sweat. Sweat stays in your clothes. Wetness is a breach in your heat. Last step. Imagine water entering that space. Not a flood covering you all at once. The level rises to your waist, and your clothing soaks and gets heavier. Your movements slow. Your fingers stop obeying. You need fine motor work. Unlock a buckle. Push an ascender. Pull a knot through a crack. And you are getting colder. A deep cave does not need to drown you. It only has to force a simple action under the wrong temperature and humidity. On the surface, it was heavy rain. Once it enters the cave system, it accelerates through vertical shafts. In tight spaces, it does not flow. It strikes. The force comes from velocity and from the flow being squeezed into a small cross-section. The first warning was sound. Not dripping, not a stream. A low-frequency vibration, like a freight train approaching inside the rock. The vibration travels through limestone. You feel it in your soles, your knees, your teeth at once. The phone line brings a warning from above. The water is coming down. In a deep cave, water is coming is not advice. It is a countdown. Because you cannot skip anything. You can only retreat along the route. Minutes later, the main shaft becomes a waterfall. The moment it hits, the acoustics around camp change. You hear fine spray rattling on helmets, mixed with heavier impacts. That sound creates false judgment. It feels like the rock is moving because the whole space is vibrating. The team starts packing. They do not take valuables. They take what preserves body heat. A stove, fuel, insulation, the ascenders they need. The cameras are left behind, not because they do not matter, but because weight costs time. A fact. In wet cold, hypothermia takes fine motor control first, then judgment. When you think it is not that cold, you are often already sliding down the curve. Sergey's outcome is another version of that curve. Not water pressure, not storms. It is endurance, temperature, and a gear gap overlapping in a single shaft. There is only one direction. Up. But this is not climbing. This is mechanical work inside a column of water. You push the ascender up. Metal teeth bite the rope sheath with a short rasp. You step and lift your body. A second later, water hammers your helmet and presses you down. Your neck contracts automatically, chin tight to your collarbone. You are not finding a pose. You are preserving a pocket to breathe. Your breaths become small. You cannot open your mouth wide. Mist will get in. You cannot pause long. Stopping means more heat loss, wetter gloves, faster forearm failure. Your actions shrink to 3 steps. Push, step, push. No extra words. The worst danger is not above you. It is below. The horizontal passage they just crossed starts to fill. Drainage cannot keep up. The water forms backflow and a whirl at the low point. In this space, a vortex is not a visual effect. It means if you slip, you are pulled to the low point, and your partner cannot reach you because they must hold the rope too. They look at the black water and understand one thing. What drops will not float. It will be carried into deeper passages. In a 2,212-meter system, recovering a body is a low-probability engineering problem. That is why Sergey's body is suffocating to look at. He was not carried away. He did not vanish. He remained in a place later teams could see. It means he kept hold of the rope, still trying to go up. They retreat to a higher camp and wait. For a long time, the water does not drop. The risk of being trapped is real. Some upper traverses are half flooded even in normal conditions and can fill completely in a surge. That means going higher is not climbing. It is diving. At this depth, diving is surrender. They wait for more than 10 hours. The sound of water slowly fades. The flood pulse lasts close to 20 hours. Only when the level drops to a passable height do they move again. This is not victory. It is 3 factors briefly favoring them: total volume, rain stopping on the surface, and the cave's drainage capacity. Now, return to Sergey. He did not die in the flood. He died from something more common and harder to film: irreversible fatigue caused by a missing piece of gear. Bring the timeline closer. Do not look at the 9 months he hung in the dark. Look only at his last hour alive. Sergey did not die because he didn't know how. He died from a small gear mistake that triggered an irreversible physical loop. The collapse begins with the hands. Without foot loops in a long shaft, he could not shift weight onto his legs. Every ascent demanded his forearms haul roughly 90 kilograms. After hundreds of repetitions, lactic acid builds and the forearms cramp violently. Your fingers go rigid like frozen metal claws, unable to do even a simple buckle release. You are locked, not by the rope, but by your own muscles. Then comes the curse of heat loss. The cave's wet cold does not need sub-zero temperatures. Near zero is enough to kill. At first, you shiver hard. The body burns its last fuel to save you. But when core temperature drops below 32 degrees Celsius, the shivering can stop suddenly. It is a deeply deceptive sign. It does not mean you adapted. It means your organs are shutting down. Hypothermia is precise and cruel. It takes fine motor control first, then judgment. With the brain starved of oxygen, Sergey could develop a perverse sensation. The world feels warmer. In forensic medicine, this is called paradoxical undressing. Many who freeze to death feel an urge to remove clothing in the final moments. At this depth, death is not an instant switch off. It is more like a headlamp battery. First, the beam dims, then it flickers, and then it goes out. He is still hanging on the rope. The posture remains, but the heartbeat stops. 9 months later, to bring Sergey back from that place, Russia deployed over 100 top cave specialists for a full 2 weeks. Because decomposition in a confined space is dangerous and can release toxic gases. And to pass the narrow fissures, the team even had to segment the remains. It is a brutal contrast. One person can drop into the abyss in a few hours. To bring him back to the surface takes 100 people fighting limits. The Perovo team kept going back down. For them, the abyss is both work and belief. And Veryovkina Cave, it does not change. In the rainy season, thousands of tons of water still pour into the shafts. The rock still amplifies sound. When you stare into 2,212 meters of black, you learn one fact. The cave has no stance. It does not remember your name, praise your courage, or mock your mistake. It is only gravity, low temperature, and physical law assembled into a place. Here, life is never a right. To survive is only an accident you were permitted to have.